we're good. Okay, so let me start with the highlights for the users. It's a much faster, simplified user interface. In the current version, you're probably familiar with the spinning hourglass. Most users get used to it. We were not happy that things were not as fast as you might expect, or I would expect them to be. So the new 9.0 is much faster. We have also improved support visibility. I'll show you what that means, but you can quickly at a glance get a perspective of where your support case is at and which stage it's in. And then finally, we have refactored the web file manager to be more akin to what you're used to with, let's say, any of the cloud drive systems like OneDrive or Google Cloud. We have patterned after that, and you'll see a much easier, faster way to get files in and out of your applications in the cloud. For admins, we have a new navigation tree. This is one of the biggest improvements for the administrative community. And the primary advantage for a new nav tree is many of our customers are now installed in multiple locations. So we have 6 data centers all over the world, and it's always best to try to put your application data as closest to the user community as possible. And many of our customers have projects globally, so they would like the data closer to their global projects. And now with this navigation tree, with one single login, they can manage and administrate all over the world all their applications. We do have some new enhanced permission controls, so you can get very granular with you authorizing different users, different capabilities. You can control whether someone can enter a support case or not, or even manage support cases. You now have the ability to administer all clouds, companies, and sites from a single login. For those of you that are in multiple clouds, or let's say multiple companies, you probably have different logins. That all goes away. You can now just have one login across the board. Training, we've added a document attachment capability for each of the lessons, as well as an advanced search, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then for support, you can work on multiple support cases simultaneously, which is a challenge in the current version. We've addressed that in the new version. Just 2 other quick improvements. An improved ability to rebrand the LoadSpring platform. So if you like to white label it, put your company logo on it, your color scheme, that's now enhanced. And we have a responsive design. It works now on touch and mobile devices. So if you've ever tried to use the current version on your cell phone, it doesn't quite adapt to the form factor very effectively with touch as well. So we've addressed that, and it's now a responsive design. I'll show you what that looks like. So these are the key enhancements. Now there's much more behind the scenes, but for today's introduction to the preview, I'll hit on the key things that are different or new. Let's talk about a low impact to users. So the idea here is anytime you do a major update, you want to ease into the change so that people aren't shocked as far as what's going on. In this particular case, we focused on keeping everything the same authentication method, same web address, same look and feel. Applications are the same. No changes to Citrix or Java plugins, even though it's a completely new version, if those apply to your apps. And we've added additional browser support. So we now include the new Microsoft Edge, which is based on Chrome's browser engine called Chromium. And then we include Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. One note, if your organization uses IE 11, it still works. We do support it. However, we are encouraging customers to follow the guidance from Microsoft that IE 11 should no longer be used and should focus on using, if you're Microsoft shop, to use the new Microsoft Edge browser. So you'll see this little pop-up if you're in IE 11. Not a big deal, though. Okay, I'm going to go to the demo after this, but I want you to be thinking about, once you see the demo, a couple of options you have as administrators in the organization. You can, option one, invite all users into the preview. So every user will receive the preview prompt below. Look at the bottom, it says, please select your cloud. 9.0, yes, I want what's new, or 8.0, no, I'm fine using the current version. So all users would see that, and they would be able to pick either version. Now, look at the note at the bottom of that box. It's very important to know that both versions launch the same data and the same applications. So it's not a beta, it's not a separate system, it's actually your production system, just with an optional new front end, so to speak. And by front end, I mean, the new website. So that's it. I don't want people thinking, oh, this is a beta and I can do whatever I want. It's key to know that, no, this is your production system. So if you invite users in, it's important they know that too. And this is kind of the trend in most of the web apps and other cloud-based applications out there. You now are given an option to preview before you cut over. And that's essentially what we're doing here in this offering. Now, the second option is a little more nuanced, but some organizations are in the middle of critical projects and don't have the user mind space to think about a preview at this time. So those organizations are opting for company admins and site admins to test it, only the admin community, and instead of their users. And that's fine as well. We allow the admins to test separately. In that case, what we would do is, instead of turning on this prompt that you see on the screen, we would give you a separate web address that the administrator community would access, and or you could distribute it to whomever you would like to participate in the preview here. All right, so let me go over to the application itself and show you what it looks like. And I'm going to go to my home screen. So when you log in, it is going to look and feel and behave pretty much the same. You'll see your applications here on the left-hand side. You'll see your dashboard, whatever your dashboard is that you've positioned here. Here we're publishing out the LoadSpring news, so this communicates a little bit of what's going on in LoadSpring and what's new. I always like to talk about this center portion because you, as company administrators or site administrators, have an option to publish your own news. So in this case, this says LoadSpring news, but this tool is available to you, and you can control the headlines, the dates, the images you see here. All of that you can edit for your own, let's say, company news or project news as an example. And if you were going to create that, you would create a new dashboard here, add a dashboard, and then you would add a tool to the dashboard that would allow you to, it's called the LoadSpring News tool. So I'll just show that to you real quick. I'll go to my dashboard. I would add a tool, and I could add the latest news tool. We have a video tool. So some organizations use this for their streaming project videos. You can add a project website to the dashboard or any custom content with our custom content editor. So keep in mind, you can create and publish your own company dashboards out there. Okay. As I mentioned, the applications stay the same. Single-click launch into them. You also can right-click, set them as favorites, or set the auto launch. What the auto launch does is allow users to just go right into the app when they log in. So the key thing that you might have noticed already across the top is a difference in the menus. The menu system has been collapsed or simplified, I'll say, to where sites and users for administrators, those two menu items, are now rolled into one menu item known as admin here. And we're gonna navigate to that in a minute, but that's kind of the big key difference if you log in that you might have noticed. I'm going to move through the menus and just highlight a few of those items I mentioned on the slide for what's new. We're going to start with support. And support is completely refactored. So I'm going to just take a quick view. I'm looking at the support queue, and there's none in the queue, which is good. No new cases. I have 2 cases in there currently that I'm managing. And if I just take a quick look at the case, just by clicking edit there, you'll see this is that new visual indicator that shows as the case moves through the stages, it begins to check off each of these stages. It goes through 5 stages: clarification, verification, research, resolution, and prevention. So that's a new capability. And if I were administering this, I would be able to check those off as I walk through each of the stages. So in the case of where you own a case, you're the administrator, you'll be able to walk through each of those stages. There is a slight difference in the navigation. To click through the action log, communication log, or attachments, you now walk down the left-hand menu to get to those different areas. The key difference there, we also have the ability, as I mentioned, to work multiple cases at once. So if I have 2 cases open, I see this is an escalated case, I can toggle between these 2 super fast to compare them or work them side by side. And this is brand new. Today, if you tried to open up more than 1 case, they would kind of compete for space, and it was difficult to compare them. Now I can quickly go between cases. All right, let's talk about training, the next key menu item over. We have enhanced this with a new search. You'll see each one of these lesson categories. There's several lessons inside there. We now have the ability to attach documents. You'll see this folder icon in there. We've always had the ability to do a quiz, but if I were going to take this quiz, I could just click on this Q button, go, take the quiz, or just click the play button, and it's going to play this particular training video. You can go full screen to watch it full screen or not.
Today we are going to cover basics of submitting
right. So we are enhancing this video content that you see here in the platform. We'll be modernizing it with some new recordings to help your user community also use not only the applications that perhaps your organization uses, but the LoadSpring platform itself. Now, as a company admin, you have the ability to add your own lessons in here. And or let's say I wanted to find a lesson that is related to, how do I add a new user? I can just enter a question. It's going to say, oh, we don't have any results in our search. But if you just say new user, let's see, what do we got? Oh, here we go. So I scaled back my question, and now I have 3 different responses to adding new users. And I can jump right to that lesson. So we've got the search, as well as if you're an administrator, you can manage lessons and programs and add your own content. And it's this easy. If I were going to manage a lesson, I was going to add my own lesson. There's 4 categories here. I can upload a video, which is essentially a screencast recording. I can create a quiz where if I click new, I just ask a series of questions, multiple choice, add the right answer, and the system will allow you to preview it and keep track of everybody's responses. So you can essentially certify individuals on applications, or I can upload files, let's say help guides, whatever I want as part of the lesson. So all of this is part of what makes up a lesson. And I can also create and manage programs here. These lessons that you see that are already included are default LoadSpring lessons. And we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to be improving these as time goes on. Reports is the same, very similar. We have added a few new capabilities. So if you jump and look at reports, as an example, here's our global view report. And you can quickly see users where they're logging in from. I can now, this is enhanced, do a search for a specific user. And so my particular user might be Warren K. I just enter my username, and it, is going to go out and look for that. Now, if I take the K off, there are 4 users connecting in from Central Colorado with the name Warren, and those are all my users. So you can quickly find out where someone's located just by entering their name here in the search. And if I scroll in, yeah, you can see I can start to drill into different users. Oh, someone's in Rocky Mountain National Park working. That's pretty good connectivity. So I can drill in and see exactly who that particular user is for a different time period, or which applications they've launched. You can drill down and filter. So this is our global view report. It's been enhanced, but it's still in 8.0. The current version you're using, this is the version 9.0. The reports have carried over. Excuse me. Let's jump over to the biggest area of change that will impact you. It's the admin dialog. And what you see is this new navigation tree. This is a game changer for the organizations that have multiple environments, multiple clouds, or locations where users are connecting from. In this particular case, I only have one cloud. It's our Boston cloud. And, it's a demonstration set of data. We just call it LSPR sales. But you'll see, yeah, I have multiple sites. I've got a Boston site. I've got an engineering site, estimating. So these are the different sites, and this is the company. So if you have more than one, you'll be able to navigate to those. If I were going to add a new user to my company, I just jump over to users, and I would click the plus button and fill in now a slide out tray that comes in from the left. And as I fill in required fields, it unlocks each of these stages. So it uses a stepwise model to populate the information to make sure it's all accurate. One key difference I'll draw your attention to, today you're used to just clicking a user, the row. Now we have the pencil to edit a user or the trash can to delete the user. And if I click the pencil, here's where I can come in and edit this user, such as the new permissions. I can give users permissions to different access. Let me actually edit. I want to edit an admin. Let me show you this. The permissions available to an administrator is quite enhanced. You can control service announcements, company events. You can administer users. You can kill active sessions if they get stuck. Lots of different capabilities that you can now control who can do what within the organization. I can quickly assign applications to my user just by selecting a box here. And I do have full activity history that's being displayed, just like we do on the current version, but we've enhanced it with more specific information about what's changed and what's different with each action that occurs in the system. Every dialog, we've added new improved enhancement dialogue. So if I just wanted to go look for my user, I could enter my username and it jumps right to my user. I can then come and edit my user. We do have the ability, and a lot of organizations don't know this, but users can log in with their email address as well. It's not just the username. However, the user email address can only exist against one user. If it's multiple users, that user will see this when they're edited that says can't log in with this email because it's not unique. So any of you out there who are administrators, you can use either your username. In my case, my username is Warren K, or I can go ahead and use my email address if it was unique. In my case, I can't, but you probably can because chances are you may not be in there more than once. Okay, so one thing I want you all to remember, when you come into this new user interface, always select your context on the left first. So the example is if I wanted to add a new application to the London site that you'll see here, I'm going to click London. I'm then going to click Applications, and I can go ahead and toggle on the File Manager. It's that easy to assign applications now to a site. So just remember, always start here in the left-hand navigation tree, and it will make it much easier to navigate. If you want to add a user just to one site, I recommend you go ahead and select the site, go to User, click the plus button, and it'll automatically populate it with that site's information. If you add a user at the company level, you have more options. So if I click Add a User here, it's going to ask me, okay, what site do you want them in? It'll walk me through a stepwise approach to add those users. We do have the ability to add users in bulk, and I'm going to highlight this because there's new power that we're giving you as administrators here in our bulk operations item. In the current version, we kind of refer to this as bulk add or bulk delete is menu items. We've now combined a lot of that into bulk operations, where you can import a whole group of users from a spreadsheet. You can delete now a whole group of users. So if a project ends, you want to free up some user counts, you can delete users. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. Just by coming in, selecting users, searching for them, selecting them all. So be careful, it's very powerful. It does prompt you, if I just click this and I click delete user, it does prompt you that you want to confirm before you delete. But so quite a bit of power here, so be careful when you use these bulk operations. You can disable users. You can now change attributes on users, such as what is their org division. You can set account expiration dates in bulk, so you have a lot of power. You can add comments. We're going to be enhancing this and adding more capabilities over time, but those bulk operations really gives you new power over rapidly updating and managing your user community. Okay, I will finish up showing you something that we're kind of proud of. It's called the Network Health Indicator. So what you're looking at is a new indicator called Network Health, and this will go out if a user is having a slow time or an application is not behaving as expected. This will go out and it's running a series of tests against your network, and it will give you a score between 1 and 100 and help you see what's going on. Now, this is the first time I've logged in with this application, so I'm going to with this user. I'm going to refresh and go back to my network health, because there it goes. So that now once I've refreshed, it comes back up and it says, "Oh, Warren, your network health score is excellent. You are between 75 and 100% compared to the rest of the users." So it does a comparative score. What'll happen is if you see it down here on the far left where it's yellow or it's red or yellow and it's bad, certain applications might not perform, and this helps our support team understand and trace what's going on as far as particular support issues. Okay, so with that gets us to the end of our quick introduction. I am going to finish up with dates and talk about when these changes will be available to you. We have the preview available for this user community will start at the end of this month, August 31st. And as I mentioned, you have those options to either invite in all users or a sub-segment that you control for the preview, with the formal cutover to 9.0 scheduled the end of September. So essentially, you're going to get a full month to preview this, and at the end of September, that's when all your users will be, when they log in, they'll be going to the new version. Okay. So that concludes today's meeting and demonstration. Feel free to email me with this email address here you see on the screen with any questions or follow-up questions. And the marketing team, who's also on this call, will be making this recording available if you'd like to re-watch it and review in the future. So with that, I thank you for your time. Have a good day.